What up, though? My name is Bobby.
And I'm Veronica.
And we are the Browns.
We'd like to welcome you to another episode of
Breaking Bread with the Browns.
So tonight we are going to veer off course. Not really off course. But as you know that we have been on our financial flex series. So
flexing.
We still flexing. But last week we didn't post a video. We kind of got hit with some challenges. Not really challenges, but
challenges.
Yeah. So, we know a lot of couples. A lot of things were kind of brought up to our attention last week, and it caused us to kind of stop, sit back, and kind of regroup and kind of get back to the heart of what Breaking Bread with the Browns is all about. So we are here to help encourage you in your journey with your marriage, and just help you to get your marriage to be overall healthier, right? So that's like one of our main goals. So your finances definitely play a role in that. We're going to continue on the journey. However, we're just not going to cover it here in the video. We're going to keep our YouTube space strictly for marriage encouragement and really tackling those tough questions.
Dealing with issues.
Right, in those topics. So with Financial Flex, I'm still flexing. But we're going to flex over on our blog, breakingbreadwiththebrowns.com. You can join us there. We'll continue to track our journey. We'll have worksheets, resources there for you. We will be starting Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace in January. So we're going to have a sign-up link over on that page. That's soon to come. I'll let you guys know here when that's available, and we'll let you know on Facebook. But based on kind of what we were faced with last week, we decided to pick out about 4 things, I guess, after we talked about the situation, we identified 4 key issues, or what would you call it?
Problems, issues, situations, things that occurred that affects your marriage.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And one of the things that really affects our marriages in ways that we don't recognize is distractions. Small, big, but distractions are real. And once you're being distracted, you cannot focus on what's important.
So this led us down a road to a lot of different questions and conversations. So like he said, distractions, that was one of the key takeaways from kind of what we experienced over this past week. So, and we kind of likened it to a little fox. All of these things that we're going to cover as we close out the year in preparation for 2020, we are going to call them little foxes. So these are like things that can kind of creep into your marriage unaware, right? But then they just continue to grow just like the monkey.
But sometimes they're unaware. It's obvious.
Well, sometimes it's obvious. That's
distraction, but sometimes you're not aware of the distraction.
Yeah, or what it is and the toll that it's taking on you as an individual, but then you also as a party to the marriage.
Well, let's be real. What is a distraction?
So based on Webster's dictionary, and I have it right here, there were 2 definitions, but there was one that really stuck out to us. So the first one is a thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to someone else or something else. So that's just typically, a distraction, you're distracted. But the next one, extreme agitation of the mind or emotions.
Oh my goodness.
Now that one right there, that was the one that we were like, ooh, extreme agitation of the mind or emotions. So let's give some examples of what distractions are. So there are many types of distractions.
Yeah.
Some can be physical, some can be emotional. Yeah. And not all distractions are necessarily something that is like bad for you out the gate. Well, just not bad for you, period, right? So some examples are, we said jobs.
Well, first, driving here in North Carolina and Charlotte, these folks don't know how to drive. And when you be driving, you think there's an accident, right? And it's really not an accident. Somebody could be on the side of the road with a flat tire, or it could be something else going on. But while people are driving, they're being distracted by what's on the side of the road. And what it does, it put build up. It becomes traffic. And it's all bundled up because someone is being nosy or most of being distracted, other focus on the road. It's a perfect example of something that's distracting you from your destination, but you're caught up on the side. That's physically that you're looking at something. I believe emotionally it's the same way, that you could be focused on something that you should be focused on in love in the right way, but you're being distracted by every other thing around other than accomplishing what needs to happen in that marriage or in that relationship.
So some examples of things that can distract you: your job, we
Yes.
said kids,
For sure, them kids.
people,
You distracting me? What's your beauty?
people, past relationships, even though we don't want that to be one, but this is one.
But it's there.
Yeah.
But you have to look at it to see it. You have to, even though it's on Saturday or it's right in front of you, you have to learn how to avoid it or learn how to go around it. Now sometimes you just can't, but when you see it, that distraction becomes full eyeful and it just grows.
So social media can be a distraction. So
social media distraction.
Now why are you looking at me? We on social media right now.
But how is social media distraction?
So it can be a distraction because number one, it can distract you with your time, taking time away from you and your family.
Yes.
But then it can also be a distraction by giving you false
information.
Well, we ain't talking about no fake news over here.
I'm just
like
saying in
false,
general.
a false pretense or false desires. That's really not even the word that I want to say. But you looking at people or what people have.
But it's also false information. People get stuff on distracted on there and thinking it's true. Some things there and don't be sound.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that false information. People always want to put forth the image. That's why we try to keep it real. It's not all perfect over here.
For sure.
Hey, you know, we don't we don't want anybody to, we don't want to give off a false image of something, because that can be a distraction. And in the time and the culture that we're living in,
gotta be honest.
You have to be honest because it is so easy to become distracted. So the debate that we had on this topic was, why do people get distracted, right? Because I'm like, how are your kids? Your kids, they are, that's a good thing. Like, that's a blessing. But after we talked, the one thing that we pulled out was that it's important to know the hierarchy of the relationship. So that it's God first, then Bobby, then the kids. But I was like, well, people could get distracted.
And the same as for me, the Lord, V-Rock.
Then the kids, they come in a strong third.
Yeah, and they're saying that we neglecting our children, but we're not focused on each other. Sometimes the children become more important and it becomes a distraction as you focus on the kids. You're not focused on each other. You're not giving each other time.
Yeah.
You're not loving each other physically, emotionally, and physically. And everything plays a role with that.
So that is important because you guys need to be on one accord and functioning properly in order to raise them, right?
That's right.
But so why would kids become a distraction then? So my argument was, well, maybe you could feel like your marriage is already on the rocks and you just try to block it out and you just focus on your children. But your argument was, it's a heart thing. You're distracted by what you said you really desire.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think a person who not grew up in the right environment of a home, a balanced family, I think that children become so important because they want their kids to go through what they went through.
Okay.
It seemed to outweigh the marriage, but also whatever you desire in your heart, you go put the very most to. And if sometimes I think we don't recognize that it's so important you have each other's heart, but you get distracted by the children because you want the best for them. You want them to have everything they're supposed to have. So you want to start working more hours. Or when a child say, can I have, instead of saying no, then you got to take care of other business or whatever, you say yay. And there's just so many emotions and different things and distract. And the kid know. Because we once upon a time was children, how to manipulate
we're not
the environment.
Into that. So
not in a negative way, but that's a child. They want what they want.
So that's just an example of how you can be distracted from something that is a good thing.
Yes.
Right? Or something that's meant to be a blessing. But what we really want to talk about is how we can be distracted by the things that are not good things, and I guess not even realize, number one, how we're affecting our own self, but the predicament that we're potentially putting our spouse in, right, by succumbing to these distractions. So I guess you want to lead with the example
Well,
on
I'm gonna
that.
let you leave with the example. I think you did
Well,
a
okay
great job.
then. So I mean, we could talk about social media, or we can even talk about material things. I think that would be best.
Material is
So
a good example.
material things, you could be distracted by material things or the desire to have more. There's nothing wrong with being a go-getter. It's nothing wrong with liking nice things. But at the point or at the moment where you begin to, I guess, forsake or forego what your responsibilities are, or that becomes like your one obsession versus handling your business, paying the bills. No, you got to go out and try to get a new Rolex. You got to go out and try to get a new car, or you want to go here, but you know your family got to eat. You know the bills need to be paid. You know their rent is due, right? Or your mortgage. So at that point, okay, that has become a distraction that's detrimental to your marriage and detrimental to you, right? So you're affecting your whole family unit because you're not there to supply what you need to supply with your finances. So that's basically surface level.
But a lot of times people get distracted like that based upon, go back to social media and the visual. And you're trying to keep up with Joneses or keep up with people. And as you're trying to keep some kind of standard, which you think is a standard, you're losing the main focus standard, which should be in your home.
Right. Because even once, okay, so your bills, all that's racking up, but then we got to go to the spiritual aspect, right? Mm-hmm. What are you doing to your relationship? So if Bobby goes out, and this is just an example, it better be an example. He is on social media. He is spending up our money, blowing our money, okay? And then he is looking at women. Well, give me another example. This is nothing you do, but I'm saying if he's, doing all these things,
it could put social media, getting women my money on social media. Nah, you can't have my money.
Right. Not only is it putting us in a financial strain, but it can put me in a strain emotionally as...
Well, since you said it that way, a man going to the strip club, okay? If a man is so caught up to the image, you talking about social media, average dude ain't gonna want to go on social media when you go see the real thing at the club. So you're getting paid, you got bills due, responsibility have to get done. Instead of doing it, you taking that and you putting that somewhere else because that's where all the bros are going on, whatever you're trying to do to make it rain. You can affect yourself and your marriage the same way by you desiring to go to that point in that level because you're distracted for what you're seeing. If you just see what you have at home or if you recognize even more that you just can't afford it. But distraction keeps you blurred.
You can afford it. Okay.
Distraction keeps you blurred. That means that you don't understand that you really hurting yourself.
Because you cannot see, and I think the example that you gave with the accident, you can't even see the road ahead of you, right? So you over here looking at this person changing their tire, and guess what? All the cars in front of you stop, so you're about to go to a head-on collision.
Not just that. If you're texting while you're driving,
that's another
perfect example. You're distracted by what's in your hand other than focusing on what you're doing. Whatever we put our hands in our hands, we're going to do. And so it's really whatever we put in our heart, it's the same effect. You know what I'm saying? And I really believe that that's the thing for men, that we're more physical. You know what I'm saying? Physical beings. So we get distracted more physical. That way, women are more emotional. So they get distracted on the emotional level based upon what we're doing, much even for themselves.
Right. Because, for a woman, you might look at your husband going to the strip club or looking at these women. So you might not feel like you're enough, or, out of the love that you have for your husband, yes, right? You might try to change, right? To try to please him. And now you're distracted, but the head, he done distracted you, but not putting it all on him. But now you're distracted, but then you're going to find yourself in a position or in territory that is unfamiliar. Yes. So really, technically, based off of Bobby's example, you done ran your car off the road into the side of a ditch.
Well, you're in the wrong lane. You may necessarily have to be in the ditch, but when you and people say stay in your lane, when you get out your lane, you put yourself in a different position. And that means that you're going to be unfamiliar, but that means you're going to look awkward. It's going to feel awkward. Different things are going to happen to you. You're going to expose yourself to something that you're not ready for. And that's why it's important to learn how to stay in your lane, but at the same time, be grateful for your lane. Be grateful for who you are. Be grateful for God has got you, because sometimes if you get distracted about everybody else or distracted what's at hand, you're going to miss the biggest picture.
And then again, you never know. You don't know what's on the other side of that. We were distracted. We done been distracted before looking at people, especially me when we were newly married. I was like, dang, they doing that. Why we can't make those type of moves? Why we can't do this? Why we can't do that? And you see the outcome. It took me time to learn, okay, what God has for us is for us.
That's right.
Right? Because
and let me be real. I was a young man when I first got married. I've been in a strip club, and I had to come home and be honest with my wife. I look, because that ain't real. And I understand that, but you get distracted. So I learned how to bring my dollars home. Isn't that right?
You better. So this is just part one of distraction. So we've given you an example of what distraction is. We've given you the definition. We've given you some real life examples and kind of explained to you why. Well, we really didn't go into the why.
Well, what's the why?
You tell me the why. Why? Why would a man want to go out and do those things?
Well, and I think it goes back to what we said about the heart. Because what happens is not just a man going to do that, but anything that distracts us, it becomes a heart thing, because your heart get pulled on. When you're distracted, the things that you should be focused on, the things you should be concentrating on, you're not. So when I start getting in your mind and which in your heart, which is one and the same, you start feeding that monkey, which is just your flesh. Your flesh start outweighing them positive things because you start having desires in a different way. And what happens is it just grows. And
think about the book of James.
And it manifests. And Galatians 5 and 16 tell you, spirit rising with the flesh, and the flesh against the spirit becomes a pull and tug, because you know what's right, but you understand what's wrong. But sometimes wrong seems right.
Right.
But if you're distracted, you ain't going to understand exactly what you're doing and what you're looking at. So you want to complete the desire that you have until you just do wrong.
But then it also could be that was your old self too.
Yeah.
That's what's familiar.
It wakes up.
Right. That's what's familiar to you.
Yeah. Which is true.
Yeah. So again, tonight we've just touched on distractions. On Thursday, we're going to circle back and talk to you about how you can overcome distractions, things that you can put in place to avoid distractions, and then within your marriage. And then
I'm distracted by your love, baby.
Again, thanks for breaking bread with us on tonight. Remember, if you were following us or tracking us with Financial Flex, you can pick that up over on the blog. Tonight, we've talked to you about distractions. We've identified them. We've given you examples, and we've given you some reasons why you can become distracted in your marriage. Hook back up with us on Thursday night, and we'll give you some tips on how you can avoid distractions. If you're already distracted, how to overcome them, and things you guys can do together. Because remember, you and your spouse are one.
Waking up with each other every day.
Forever.
Ever?
Forever.
Ever?
Thanks for breaking bread with us tonight, guys. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and like us and follow us on Instagram. Break bread.
Break bread. About to make it rain.
No.